With the baseball world buzzing with talks of Jackson Holliday, I thought it was time to take a look at a different 20-year-old Jackson making waves in the big leagues, Jackson MERRILL. The 27th overall pick in the 2021 draft is carving out his very own path with the Padres this season, so much so that he currently has the best batting average on San Diego's entire roster. But just who is this Jackson MERRILL kid? Where did he come from? And why aren't more people talking about him? Today, let's take a deep dive into the journey that took Jackson MERRILL from a little league field in Maryland to the grandest stage in baseball. Jackson MERRILL was born to Josh and Jenny MERRILL on April 19, 2003 in Severna Park, Maryland, where he knew as early as 5th grade that he wanted to play in the bigs. He always had a special bond with his father, as he coached Jackson Little League's team on the Diamonds at Kinder Park in Anne Arundel County. While most parents of Little Leaguers encourage their children to have a positive attitude and that striking out is okay and just part of the game, Josh would tell his young son that it's not okay to strike out. Call it tough love, call it psychopathic, call it whatever you want. That advice would motivate the Little Leaguer to the big leagues one day. Jackson MERRILL is currently one of the youngest players in MLB at just 20 years old, which is nothing new to the young slugger. He was always the youngest player on the team growing up. And this is how he developed his work ethic. He knew that being younger and smaller than everyone, even in Little League, he would have to work twice as hard to keep up with his competition. Not only would Jackson work hard enough to keep up with the older kids, he would work even harder to surpass them all the way to the top. His time at Severna Park High School would see Jackson bouncing back and forth between third and short. I honestly couldn't find much about Jackson during his younger high school days, but going based on what was to come by the time he reached his senior year, I'd say this kid was holding his own. Jackson MERRILL was performing well enough on the diamond to commit to Army Black Knights in West Point during 2019. Unfortunately, these plans fell through when Jackson's entire junior season was canceled because of the pandemic. This left Jackson, much like most of us, in a very strange place. He spent every spring and summer of his entire life playing baseball, and now his dream of making it to the majors seemed to hang in the balance. Jackson didn't let the uncertainty of the world deter his focus at all. In fact, he became more focused as he spent his time during the pandemic doing physical training and getting jacked. In less than a year, the kid put on 30 pounds of pure muscle. He knew he would still be one of the younger players on the team, but he was no longer going to be smaller. In the fall of his senior year, he made an audible and decided he would no longer be committing to the Army Black Knights and instead committed to the Kentucky Wildcats. And going from the Patriot League to the SEC was an upgrade, to say the least. 2021 would be the year Jackson MERRILL would begin his legend. As a senior, Jackson would hit 13 homers and knock in 39 RBIs. No small feat and nothing to be laughed at. But the .500 batting average is what had scouts drooling. Being crowned Maryland Player of the Year by the Capital Gazette was just the cherry on top of a fantastic senior year that saw Jackson lead Severna Park to the state championship. And despite a nail-biting 5-4 loss to Sherwood, the stage was set for Jackson MERRILL to show his true potential. All the hard work Jackson MERRILL had been putting in from his time on the Little League fields of Kinder Park to his star-studded senior year would ultimately pay off in the 2021 MLB Draft.
With the 27th pick of the 2021 MLB Draft, the San Diego Padres select Jackson MERRILL.
Jackson was taken at the 27th pick of the first round by the San Diego Padres, signing a $1.8 million signing bonus. With the simple message of, "Your boy is a big leaguer," to his mother over FaceTime, he realized his boyhood dream had become reality. Now it was time for Jackson MERRILL to really get to work. And boy, oh boy, did the young prospect get to work. To start his journey to the majors, Jackson would first be signed to the Arizona Complex League Padres. MERRILL hit .280 in 31 games, slugging .383 with 7 doubles and 10 RBIs, but a less than desired 27 strikeouts. 2022 would see Jackson begin to come in his own with the Lake Elsinore Storm. This season, he would see the field 45 times, smack 5 dingers with a very respectable .325 average. And you know the Padres were happy to see the 35 RBIs and 8 stolen bases. 2023 would be a busy year for Jackson MERRILL, playing 114 games, splitting time between the High A Fort Wayne Tin Caps and the Double A San Antonio Missions. While his batting average slipped to .277, he managed to maintain a slugging percentage of .444 on both teams. Jackson also went yard 15 times that year and almost doubled his RBIs with 64 and stolen bases with 15. As spring training for the 2024 season grew near, Jackson MERRILL knew this was his year to prove his worth to the Padres, and he did exactly that. Hitting a solid .333 with 14 hits, a couple of homers, and only 3 strikeouts in 42 at-bats, Jackson set the stage for his call-up. By the way, out of a total of 90 spring training at-bats, Jackson has only struck out 11 times. He clearly took that message from his dad all those years ago to heart. His knack for putting the bat on the ball definitely had the Padres chomping at the bit, But what about his fielding? This is where Jackson Merrill may excel even beyond his contact hitting. Although having great numbers at short leading up to 2024 spring training, the Padres moved Jackson to left field for 2 games and center field for 12. The move to the outfield was not any trouble for Jackson Merrill. He saw a total of 27 chances with 25 putouts for a 1,000 fielding percentage. It was at this point that all the hard work, dedication, and not striking out would finally pay off for Jackson Merrill. On March 19, 2024, the San Diego Padres added Jackson to their opening day roster. The dream had officially manifested into reality. From being a small little leaguer to a 6'3", 195-pound outfielder for the Padres. And it wouldn't take long for Jackson to make his debut, as he would do so the very next day against the Dodgers in the Seoul series. It wasn't the debut he was hoping for, as he went 0 for 3, hitting 9th in the lineup with a pop-out, ground-out, and fly-out. His first hit would come soon enough, though.
1-2 to Merrill, and a liner to right field, and that's a base hit. First major league hit for Jackson Merrill.
In the second game of the Seoul series, Merrill would record his first 2 hits, a single in the third and a double in the fifth that almost made it out of the park. And since then, it's been smooth sailing so far this 2024 season for Jackson Merrill. He's currently hitting .324, and that's not just any .324. That's a leading the entire Padres roster in batting average .324. What may be of concern is Merrill's 7 strikeouts and his 34 at-bats. Perhaps the big league pitching is more than Jackson is used to, but then again, he is leading his entire team. And his fielding has been on point as usual, still sitting at a perfect 1,000 fielding percentage. I'll be honest, I may have been distracted by the headlines of Jackson Holliday and Wyatt Langford this season because Jackson Merrill is off to an incredible start for being such a youngster. Clearly, if Jackson keeps up the pace, he's on track to be in the discussion for Rookie of the Year. Who knows? Maybe this is a rebuilding phase for the Padres and Jackson Merrill is going to be the one that gets them back to a 500 team. Momentum is real, and I think Jackson Merrill might be the momentum the Padres need. What do you think? Will Jackson Merrill turn things around for the Padres? Do you think he can keep up with his hot start? Or will the young buck fizzle out and crack under the pressure of the majors? Let me know in the comments below and subscribe to Baseball Buzz.